check, radio check, loud and clear. Thank you everyone for tuning into the live stream and welcome along to the coverage here in Montreal. We are 30 minutes away from the start of free practice 1 and we have got a very, very exciting weekend up ahead for us. So thank you everyone for tuning in. We've already got 350 people tuned in to the live stream. Currently up on the screen, I've just got the 2024 data up. It's not particularly relevant, but I've just got it up there so you can get an idea of what the circuit looks like. And yeah, back in 2024, we did have rainy weather out in Montreal. We had a wet Friday, a dry Saturday, and then a wet Sunday. And we are not going to have the same this weekend. This weekend it's going to be sunny all around. The chance of rain is below 5% for the entire weekend. So unlikely that we're going to be seeing much rain hitting the track. However, we will still have a lot more other action going on. With 3 DRS zones, there'll be loads of overtaking opportunities. And yeah, we'll run through all of that very, very shortly. All right. What else have we got? Why is Piastri in P20? I mean, these positions don't really represent anything. It doesn't particularly matter. Okay. So let's run through a bit of the news. What has been going on in the world in Formula One in the 2-week gap that we've had from the Spanish Grand Prix now to the Canadian Grand Prix. Of course, Lance Stroll, who had an injured wrist in Spain, he took the race out in Spain, didn't race. Nobody took his seat because he pulled out of the race or pulled out the weekend too late in the day or too late in the weekend. So that meant Felipe Drugovich wasn't able to step in and drive for him. That means Aston Martin only drove one car, Fernando Alonso. He ended up scoring points, which was very, very nice for him at his home Grand Prix. However, Stroll, he had a bit of obviously didn't drive. He has had his surgery and has recovered and will be driving this weekend. So no step in from, Stoffel Van Dorn or Felipe Drugovich or anything like that. It will be Lance Stroll driving at his home Grand Prix, which is good to see. Stroll does get hated on quite a bit. I do a bit of the hating as well, but you gotta feel for the guy, and he can drive for his home Grand Prix. So I think that's a pretty good situation for him. How many laps will the race be on Sunday? The race will be, I think, 71 laps. I can't remember exactly, but I think it's something in the 70 range, or it will be like 68 or something along those lines. It's quite a short circuit, this circuit here in Montreal. The lap times we saw last year were 1 minute 12.000 from George Russell and Max Verstappen, both in qualifying, and yeah, we'll see what the lap times are looking like this weekend and if they change a lot. All right, 70 laps. Okay, 70 laps. There we go. All right, I shall take you through a lap of the circuit. In fact, while we are waiting for the start of the session, I've just recorded a lap here on the Xbox game. Let me pull it up. There we go. All right, so you come towards the final corner here. You got the Wall of Champions, which has been named after, I think, in the 2000 Grand Prix here, or the 1999 Grand Prix, there were like 4 world champions that crashed into that barrier during the race. So that's where the name comes from. But you make your way through turn number 1 and 2. It's a chicane, and that's a constant theme of this circuit. In fact, every single corner apart from the hairpin at turn number 10 is a chicane. So this corner here now, 6 and 7, you go left and then you go right, and back onto the power very smoothly. Your DRS as you go through this zone here towards turn number 8 and turn number 9, which is once again a right-left chicane. Quite a high speed. You do want to drive over the curbs there. It does gain you quite a bit of time. You've got a DRS detection point as you pass towards the hairpin here, and just breaking in a straight line here. You got all of the fans all around you, and it is a fantastic place to watch the race from. You get quite a bit of overtaking down into the hairpin and lots of battling towards the casino straight. And then you're heading towards the end of the lap. Really, it's quite a short lap. Not all that many corners either. Only 14 corners. And not all of them are. Well, look at that. Turn number 12 isn't really a corner, is it? So yeah, that's a lap of the circuit here in Montreal. I'll go through into the proper details of which lines you should take and which apexes and stuff like that as we get closer to the start of the session. Yeah. Max and George always coming together in some races. Yeah, they've had a bit of history. Last year as well, they had some contacts, had some issues with who crashing into each other essentially. Some drive, I think, yeah, they didn't particularly find the racing to be particularly fair. At least George Russell didn't. Max Verstappen was being as aggressive as ever, and they came together again in Spain. Max Verstappen has been handed some penalty points. That puts him now 1 penalty point away from getting a race ban. Now, you can accrue 1 penalty point quite easily. If you block a driver by accident in quali and it's quite a serious infringement, then you can get a penalty point. So it's there is definitely a chance that Max Verstappen does get a race ban. And Verstappen, though, has said that he won't make any changes to his driving style to avoid a ban. And it's not the end of the world if he does get banned for a race, and he's not going to be altering his approach. So pretty interesting statements there from Max, and I think it's fine really. The championship is still pretty long at this point in the season. The McLarens were just starting to look like the faster car in 2024, and yeah, there's still a lot of time left to go in this year's in the championship for this year. But the one thing that is different from last year to this year is that next year we've got a big regulation change, which means that the teams sooner or later are going to switch off development. So yeah, we'll see. If Red Bull switch off early, then Max Verstappen, his chances for going to a championship are going to be pretty slim and limited. But if Red Bull do keep developing their car all the way till the very end of the season, then, or not maybe the very end, maybe to the final three quarters of the way through the season, they still keep making upgrades, then maybe the Max Verstappen's chances for championship are a little bit better. All right. I think this is one of the tracks that the rookies will struggle with. Yeah, this is it is a very similar to a street circuit of sorts. This is a purpose-built racetrack. There are no cars driving around here when we're not racing Formula One, but the walls are very, very close to the circuit, and yeah, their margin for error is as small as it is in a typical street circuit. However, you are carrying a lot more speed through the majority of the corners here. Turn number 1, 2 are pretty slow, and turn number 10 is pretty slow. But those are the only 3 slow corners on the circuit. Apart from that, everything else is high speed or medium speed, and a little loss of the rear end, a little bit of a snap here or there, and you're into the barriers. So the rookies will have to be careful. They'll take a similar approach to Monaco, where they will have where they'll slowly build up to the full qualifying pace. They're not going to go flat out right from the start, right from the get-go. The rookies don't race here in Formula 2 either. So, Oliver Behrman, Kimi Antonelli have never raced at this circuit before. They may have attended some practice sessions. They may have been at the track while the Formula 1 cars were racing as a reserve driver, but they have never actually driven at this circuit before. So this will be their first time out onto the circuit, and they'll be obviously very cautious not to go crash the car on the first practice session. Hey F1 Gamer, could you please share the URL? The URL, it's Service TV. If you just go into Google, it will come up. As long as you're connected to the Austrian VPN, it will come up. So go ahead and check that out. Okay. Ferrari bringing out upgrades this weekend. I will have a look at the upgrades document. The upgrades document hasn't been released as of yet, or well, I haven't gone and looked for it, but normally it gets released at the same time as the start of Free Practice 1. So once Free Practice 1 starts, I will have a quick look through the update document and see if any teams have brought upgrades. Typically, they aren't really going to be bringing upgrades to a circuit that isn't in Europe. However, we did have a 2-week break, so there's definitely a chance that some teams may have brought some upgrades. And yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. How far back from Verstappen is Tsunoda this week? Well, we don't really know. Of course, there's been a bit of debate. Isaac Hadjar has been performing fantastically, and the debate has basically been, oh, should Isaac Hadjar join the Red Bull team? Should he be the one driving instead of Yuki Tsunoda? And from my side, if I was asked that question, it would be a firm no. Isaac Hadjar has had 9 races in Formula One, and he is in no way, shape, or form ready to step up to the Red Bull team. The Red Bull car in of itself is undrivable. Tsunoda, who has over 3-4 years of race experience now, is struggling to drive that car. It makes absolutely no sense to put a rookie who has not got that much experience into the car to hopefully drive quicker. Yeah, that logic just does not check out. So, yeah, take of that what you will. I don't think Red Bull should put Isaac Hadjar, and Isaac Hadjar knows that he doesn't really want to go to Red Bull. He's like, oh no, I don't think I'm ready. Like, he himself, like any junior driver typically is like, oh yes, I'm always ready to step up to the next team, the next bigger, quicker team. Isaac Hadjar, however, he is not saying that, because we do know Red Bull is a bit of a mess, and he doesn't really want to be thrown into that at the start of his career. It's sometimes a potentially career-ending situation. So, I'd say Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly, their careers weren't looking too bright after their short stint at Red Bull, where they got, destroyed by Max Verstappen. So, yeah, I think Isaac Hadjar just doesn't want to take that risk. Yeah, folks, I don't know. I should probably make this really big, so like people can see. But yeah, 2025 data will load in about 8 to 10 minutes time. I've just got the 24 data up now, because that is, yeah, I've just got the 24 data up. Speaking of Red Bull, would you please address last race's drama? Well, see, this was the thing. I think Verstappen was, it was pretty clear Verstappen was frustrated, and he just drove into Russell. I think it was a pretty calculated decision from him. He didn't drive into his side pod, he just drove straight into his wheel. And I'm sure Verstappen crashed with precision in the same way that he drives with precision, and he did it in such a way that he wouldn't get damage and Russell wouldn't get damage. But yeah, he was clearly frustrated. We've seen this happen before, Seb Vettel, 2017, behind the safety car. He felt like he got brake checked by Hamilton, came alongside him and just pushed, drove his Ferrari into the side of the Mercedes, got handed a 10-second stop-go penalty. Max Verstappen did a similar thing, got frustrated, crashed into a driver, and he got handed a 10-second time penalty. Of course, these 2 incidents are 8 years apart. The FIA aren't consistent from one weekend to the next weekend. There's no way we can expect them to be consistent from 2017 to 2025. So yeah, there's no point even discussing the penalty. I don't think Verstappen knows that he didn't do the right thing, but he's been handed the penalty points, and I think it's fair enough. He lost all of the points he was getting that weekend anyway. Like it. The point was he was going to lose his position, lose all of the points he was meant to score, and it was meant to hurt him negatively in the championship. It did that. So if it was a 10-second stop go, if it was a 30-second penalty, whatever it was, it achieved the purpose of penalising him, and I think it's fine. All right. What do you think of the previous incident? Should Leclerc be penalised as well? I don't know which previous incident you're talking about. Which Leclerc? Oh, the Leclerc and Verstappen at the Spanish Grand Prix? No, I don't think so. I think that was more sort of a racing incident, a bit of a misunderstanding between the drivers. Yeah. All right. A couple of other things of news to go through while we are waiting for the start of the session. Yeah, let's carry on reading through the news then. So, Ferrari did have some pretty big issues. Hamilton had, I think he said, one of his worst races at Ferrari. He hasn't had that many, but he said the Spanish Grand Prix stood out to be one of the worst, and his pace was just absolutely nowhere compared to Charles Leclerc, and on race day he just kept falling further and further back, which, well, is just not ideal really. And the issues hopefully they'll be resolved. Fernando Alonso was asked about what his thoughts were on Lewis Hamilton, and Alonso said that he thinks that this weekend here in Canada, the circuit suits Hamilton's strengths. He should be able to perform well and deliver. And Alonso also said the season's very long, and sooner rather than later, Hamilton will have a fix to their issues, or Hamilton and Ferrari as a team will have a fix to their issues, and they should be back with some good pace. Will you watch Le Mans? I probably will watch Le Mans. Not all of it, but yeah. Oh, here we go then. Okay, it's just gone back to the Spanish Grand Prix, so that's normally a sign of the data getting ready to. Yeah, okay. We should have the data. The data will be loading in 40 seconds, folks. So let me just. Yeah, I'll just keep moving this around. 30 seconds till we get the data for the Canadian Grand Prix loading up onto the screen. Let me know, guys. Yeah, what do you think? Are you going to be watching the Le Mans Grand Prix? I mean, I don't think I'll be able to do 24 hours, like a full 24 hours. That's just a bit extreme. But I was thinking about doing some commentary for it. However, I realised that it does overlap with. I think it does overlap with the Canadian Grand Prix. And the other thing is, I have a pretty big report due on Monday, which means that I will be doing that on Sunday, and which means I won't be able to commentate the entire 24 hours of Le Mans, as much as I would like to. But yeah, Le Mans is definitely a classic, and you can't really miss out on it. It's a fantastic race, and just a testament to human endurance, really. And just the crazy innovations that they do all of the time. All right, here we go. We've got all of the data coming through then. Let me get rid of this text. Fantastic. Okay, so we got 1,600 people tuning into the live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Very much is appreciated. Hope to see you guys around for FP2 and FP3 and quali as well. Yeah, we'll be getting underway very, very soon now. 12 minutes now till the start of the session. Fantastic. Let me just get rid of last year's timings. There we go. Brilliant. VPN plug needed, yeah, why not? Folks, if you are interested in watching Formula One for only $2 a month rather than the typical 40 or 50 or whatever it is in the country that you're living in, what you can do is get Surfshark VPN, and then you join an Austrian VPN server. You go onto Google, you search Service TV, and you make an account, you log in, and you can watch the Canadian Grand Prix for free. So yeah, if you guys are interested, go ahead and check that out. The commentary is in German, so of course if you're German or if you understand German, then that's perfect for you. If not, then you can always mute the commentary, play mine on top of it, and you can still watch all of the footage live. So it's up to you guys. There's a link in the description. Go ahead and check that out if you are interested. Right. Oh yeah, and I am sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Like that's why I'm saying this. So, but yeah, it does work. We've got 300 or so people now, 300, maybe even 400 people using it. Yeah. When do you think Kimi could get his first podium? Well, I think Kimi could get his first podium when Mercedes start showing some strong pace, and they have really recently. George Russell has had some pretty solid pace. Kimi Antonelli not so much. His pace has been consistent. He's not been sometimes really good one weekend, sometimes really bad the next weekend. He did have one standout session in Miami where he got that sprint pole position, but apart from that, he's been a couple tenths off the back of George Russell, which I think is fair enough. George Russell, fantastic driver. Kimi Antonelli is just a rookie, but a podium in his rookie season might be a bit tough given that he isn't really in the fastest car on the grid. So he'll need some luck on his favour. And, we've seen what can happen in the Spanish Grand Prix. We got Nico Hulkenberg up in 5th position after a great finish. Great drive from him firstly, and also a little bit of luck on his side. So maybe the same can happen to Kimi Antonelli. If he can put in a good drive and maybe a safety car or something helps him out, he could definitely end up on the podium. There is no rain forecast, ladies and gentlemen. No rain is forecast whatsoever for the entire weekend. It is a 5% chance of rain, but that pretty much just means zero. The sun is shining out in Montreal. The air temperature only 16 degrees, but track temperature is up at 41 degrees. All right. Verstappen. Oh no, Verstappen is right there up at the top of the grid. Then we got Norris and then Bortoletto, then Hadjar. The drivers are just arranged in their number order, as in Max Verstappen is car number 1, Lando Norris is car number 4, Bortoletto car number 5, and so on and so forth. With Behrman being car number 87, so he's in 20th position. All right, so I shall take you through a lap of the circuit then. Here we go. All right. So you make your way towards the final corner. This is the Wall of Champions. You want to drive over the chicane. It gains you so much time. You open DRS as you come down the start-finish straight here. Just minimise the distance. Probably want to pull over to the right-hand side when doing your quali lap. Braking down to 3rd gear, then down to 2nd gear. This corner is super-duper long, and you just got to wait for the car to rotate before you get onto the power. Otherwise, you do just run wide and then have to back off the power again. Then through this chicane, you can take the curb on the first apex, not so much on the second apex. Want to keep the car under control, ideally. But it's quite easy to lose the rear on that downhill section. Then continuing on, this is your second DRS zone of the circuit towards turn number 8. Now another chicane, braking under the bridge for a pretty good reference point for the drivers, and then you make your way towards the hairpin. You've got a DRS detection point here. We've seen some drivers in the past play cat and mouse for DRS down the following straight, and it does actually give you DRS for the next 2 DRS zones. So if you were 1 second behind the driver ahead of you, then you get DRS down the casino straight, as you can see, and then you also get DRS down the main straight as well. Even if you make the overtake into the Wall of Champions chicane, you will still get DRS down the next straight. So that's how the system works, but I think it works out fairly well most of the time, and it still gives us some pretty good racing, so I wouldn't really complain. But that's a lap of the Canadian Grand Prix circuit. Quite a short circuit, not too many. Well, there's quite a few. There's 14, 13 corners. But you got turn 1 and 2, and then and then you've got your first chicane, then you've got your second chicane of turn 6 and 7, and your third chicane of turn 8 and 9. Then you've got a hairpin, and then you've got your fourth chicane of turn number 13 and 14. So really, 4 chicanes and 3 real corners, shall we say? And maybe, yeah. So there is a big sort of dependence on high-speed grip around Canada. And you do need aerodynamic efficiency. And, McLaren are very good at that. Williams are also very, very good at that. So I expect Williams to be back. Their pace wasn't that great in the Spanish Grand Prix. In fact, I think both of the Williams drivers didn't make it through into Q3. And, they will be... they'll be looking to bounce back a little bit. And this is the perfect circuit for them. So... with the combination of these high-speed corners where you need the downforce, but also these super long straights where you need the drag reduction, the slipperiness of the car in a straight line, Williams should be there to deliver some solid points. What about the sectors? Oh my god, yeah, I totally forgot about the sector lines. I'll add the sector lines in for FP2. I totally forgot about those because I set them up just for the first time for the Spanish Grand Prix and then forgot about them. But yeah, I think the third sector starts. I'm probably I'm just not going to say because I don't remember correctly. I'll let you know, and then I will tell you where the circuit, where all the sectors starts. There are I guess there are no high speed corners like properly where you're going 7th gear or anything, but turns number 8 and 9 you're going there through 5th gear, maybe 6th if you're having a really good quali lap. So there is, and then the final chicane as well, you're taking that 5th gear as well. So there's definitely opportunity. It's sort of medium speed, high speed corners, and you do need the downforce of that part of the circuit. All right. So here we are then, 5 minutes away from the start of the session. What are my predictions? Ooh, okay. Well, I'm going to predict that we have a Williams in the top 5. And I also am going to predict that one of the rookies has a minor incident, which means they're not going to totally, crash out the car or anything. However, I do think they're going to break a front wing or break a rear wing or something like that by spinning out. Yeah. That's my prediction. And also I think I don't know what are the animals that are always at the Canadian Grand Prix circuit. Is it beavers? Um, I'm not sure if it's beavers, but yeah, I think that animal is gonna make a prediction, and not make a prediction, make an appearance. And we might have some yellow flags called because of it. Hello, Fungamer. How have you been? I've been doing pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, hope you guys are doing well. We've had a little one week, well, yeah, one weekend of no F1, and we're back. And then it's going to be the same again. The next weekend there's going to be no F1, and then we're going to have the not the Australian, the Austrian Grand Prix, in 2 weekends time. Oh, it's groundhogs. Okay, groundhog, not beaver. Um, there we go. Three DRS zones, indeed so. I mean, we've had three DRS zones at this circuit for quite a while now. I think 2021 we also had three DRS zones. So, yeah, it's a good addition to the circuit. Does mix things up and makes it a bit easier to overtake. Makes it a bit easier to stay close, especially in the medium speed corners. Going through turn number 8 and 9, it's quite tricky to stay close. But of course, if you've had the DRS helping you get closer, and that sort of compensates for the dirty air that you encounter through a couple of these chicanes. How much does a pit stop cost? I think it's going to be like 22 seconds, but I'll get you an accurate number for the race. Pirelli normally release these numbers. Pirelli or the Formula One like data analysis team normally release these numbers on on Sunday morning or Saturday evening. So yeah. Who's my favorite driver? My favorite driver is Sebastian Vettel. Yeah, he is in fact he's my wallpaper. In fact, let me see. Will he's on? Can I show you guys where? Yeah, give me a sec. Oh yeah, if I actually it doesn't really matter, but oh, it's not even letting me show me. I guess never mind. The minimize button isn't working, so I can't show you my wallpaper. But yeah, Seb Vettel's on my wallpaper. Like, he's my favorite driver. So, it's his 2019 win in Singapore. That's the one that I've got on my wallpaper. All right. Anyway, we are 2 minutes away from the start of practice, and yeah, not long now till we have all of the drivers come out on the circuit. We may get some rookies. I'm not 100% certain. I think though, at the Canadian Grand Prix, because the Formula 2 drivers don't have a lot of experience around this circuit. Of course, the Formula 2 drivers don't race here, so we may not actually have some rookies because, well, the Formula 2 drivers are normally the rookies and they're not at the circuit this weekend. And actually, a lot of the Formula 2 drivers are racing at Le Mans. Yeah, a lot of Formula 2 drivers taking their chances. I mean, there's no Formula 2 race, so you might as well race at Le Mans, why not? And yeah, I think we have the 24 hours of Le Mans, and then we also have the 24 hours of Spa the following weekend, and then the 24 hours of the Nürburgring or something. I think it's 3 weekends straight of 24-hour endurance racing. Maybe I've got that incorrect. Maybe it's slightly different, or the orders mixed up or something. But yeah, I think we've got three weekends in a row of endurance racing, which is pretty good. I mean, Le Mans, Spa, and the Nürburgring, like three of the most iconic, probably the most famous circuits in the world. Lance Stroll will be driving. Yes, Lance Stroll is driving. He's recovered from his surgery pretty quickly, so no issues there for him. And it was a. He said it would be stupid to have driven the Spanish Grand Prix with the injured wrist, but yeah, he took a 2 weeks off, had his surgery done, and he's good to go racing again. So I'm sure the teams can adjust the power steering settings and stuff to allow for the steering wheel to be ever so slightly lighter, just in case Stroll does start feeling any more strain in his wrist. But apart from that, he should be fine. The doctors have cleared him to go racing. All right, F1 Gamer, who are you supporting in 2021? Well, I was still supporting Seb Vettel because Seb Vettel was still driving, but yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, probably Max then. I guess, Yeah, I mean, I'd say I supported Max because I played the Super Max song, but I just wanted a good championship battle, and we definitely got a good championship battle in 2021. All right, we got drivers lined up at the end of the pit lane. Oh, why does it say race starts in 000? That should be practice starts. Oops. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The drivers are making their way out onto the circuit very, very shortly. And here we go. Yeah. First driver out onto the track is Esteban Ocon. Oh yeah, this is the 200th race for the Haas team, so they are rocking the Haas drivers, the Haas mechanics. They're rocking the old sort of old style race suits with the old liveries that they used to have back in 2016. So 200 races for the Haas team, which is fantastic, really. The sort of the youngest, the newest Formula One team on the grid, and with a pretty limited budget, they have made a fantastic impact. I'd say their best season was probably 2018, finishing I think fourth in the constructors in 2018. I can't remember, to be honest, off the top of my head, but they did have a very good 2018 season, and well, they've had their ups and downs, and we'll see what happens for 2026. But pretty good going for the Haas team. 200 races in. Okay. What is the time in the UK? The time in the UK is 6:30 p.m. Yeah, 6:30 p.m. Not too bad of a time zone here for me in the UK. FP2 I think ends at 11 p.m. But I'm a I'm a university student. I was not going to go to sleep at 11 p.m. anyway. So especially on a Friday night. All right. So yeah, here we go then. We've got all of the drivers making their way out onto the circuit. Everyone coming out in a pretty orderly fashion. Normally we see the drivers sit around on the circuit for quite a while, but none of that is going on as of right now. And yeah, we're getting everyone coming out onto the circuit. Fantastic. We've got a mixture of softs and mediums. We've got Hulk out on the mediums, Lawson, Bortoletto, Hadjar out on the mediums. So the Racing Bulls and the Saubers out on the mediums. The other guys out on the softs. But yeah, not really much to read into there. And we're getting a flying lap immediately from Lewis Hamilton. He's setting his first flying lap here, and look at that, all purple mini sectors so far. So looking good there from Sir Lewis Hamilton. As yellow flag, no way. Who is that? Colapinto. Has Colapinto caused a yellow already? It's a double yellow now. And okay, he's just spun the car. Okay, no serious damage to him, but he has caused a yellow flag by spinning the car, I think, at turn number 2. And this is the thing, it's a very, very long corner. In fact, I'll just show you the onboard as you go around turn number 2 here. So let me just fast forward this ever so slightly. Yeah, so you're coming down the main straight and you're braking for turn number 1. You make your way through turn number 1 very nicely. Then turn number 2 here. This is pretty much 180 degrees. You've got to completely back on yourself. So you downshift from third down into second, and then slowly you have to get onto the power. But if you get onto the power too early, then you're steering and you're also getting onto the power, and the tires only have a limited amount of grip, which means that something's got to give, and either you understeer into the barrier or you spin. Basically, you do a 360, and it was pretty clear to see what happened with with Colapinto. He spun. So yeah, first incident of the session. About, what, 20 seconds in? Well, okay, not 20, but yeah, very, very soon. A lot of drivers came out earlier. They're trying to get the dust off the track. Well, the drivers always want to get the dust off the track. They're not particularly doing it because, they're just coming out early because I guess they want to do some, start gathering the data early on in the session for whatever reason. Maybe the track conditions are more representative of what it's going to be like in quali or in the race. So that's probably why they're doing it. Alright, Verstappen's coming over the radio saying my steering wheel feels very heavy, and they just said stand by to him, so we'll see what happens there. But Verstappen, clearly his steering wheel will feel heavy, but he's still got the pace, and he's about a second clear of Lewis Hamilton and a second clear of his teammate as well, a 1:16.0 from Max Verstappen. We're still 4 seconds off the pole time from last year, so a lot of improvement left to go, and in fact Gasly goes purple in the first sector. This is the rate at which the circuit is improving at. Just the all of the dust being kicked off by these Formula 1 cars is, well, speeding up the circuit, and Gasly now purple in the second sector as well. Last year's pole, a 1 minute 12.000. Very, very convenient indeed to remember. And that was, of course, when George Russell and Max Verstappen set the exact same lap time as well, which was quite incredible to say the least. Alright, Isaac Hadjar, purple first sector on a set of medium tyres as well. Interesting. Alright, serious pace there from Isaac. And yeah, middle sector as well, looking also just as good. Pierre Gasly, half a tenth back from Max Verstappen up into second place. And Charles Leclerc goes 2/10 clear. Very nicely done there on a set of softs. I think all of the drivers now, they'll be wearing out these soft tyres, probably doing hot, cold, wear out the first set of softs, get acclimatized to the circuit, and then they'll go about doing their run plans. And hopefully by that point, when everyone has done a couple of rounds of hot, cold for their running laps, the circuit will have had its dust kicked off to the side, and the teams can get some representative tyre wear data. Alright, great lap from Isaac Hadjar, half a second clear of Charles Leclerc. I mean, if I were you, Isaac Hadjar, I'd probably slow down. You don't really want to be getting promoted to the Red Bull team, or should I say demoted to the Red Bull team, because, yeah, it's not a place where you want to go. So maybe you want to think about slowing down there, buddy. Alright, we got Albon purple in the first sector, Russell purple in the second sector, and yeah, looking good. Everyone's improving really, and you can see that by the majority of the colours on the screen are green, and then the couple of drivers that are doing yellow, they're on their cool down laps regardless. So George Russell across the line, third place for him, nicely done. And looking good. Antonelli, this is his first time at the circuit, so it's going to be he's going to need some time to get acclimatized to it. Same thing for Bortoleto, same thing for Antonelli. As I said earlier, the Formula 2 drivers don't drive here, and because of that, they any rookies, this will be their first time at the circuit, and they'll need some time to get used to the track. They will have done a lot of time in the simulator, of course, as is standard, but nothing beats actually being out on the circuit. Albon, we're down to the 1 minute 15.1 now. Albon goes up into first position, and as you can see there, in the space of 10 minutes, the circuit has sped up from a 1:16 from Max Verstappen down to a 1:15.1, 9/10 of a second pace improvement in the space of about 9 minutes. So yeah, the track really ramping up now, and it is to be expected. Verstappen purple in the first and second sector. He's just got the final sector left to go now. Tsunoda across the line, that puts him up into second position. Good lap there from Tsunoda, but we'll see what Max Verstappen can do. It looks like he's got a serious bunch of pace regardless. And yeah, he does have a serious bunch of pace. He's 7/10 clear of his teammate. And yeah, pretty good lap there from Max, purple in all three sectors. Why are they out on the softs already? They probably have spare sets of softs this weekend, and because Canada isn't particularly a high tyre wear circuit, the teams can use their softs here in practice, and it's not going to be too much of a concern for them. Oh, did we see a pretty big snap at the rear there for Kimi Antonelli? As he got onto the brakes, the rear is locked. It looked like he drove over something. I'm not particularly sure what happened there, but yeah, that was a little strange. It seemed like there was some debris on the road, and then Antonelli had the rear of his car snap as he got onto the brakes, but no damage incurred, and he'll look to go again on his next lap. But yeah, he lost half a second in the middle sector there, and to be expected when you get such a big tank slapper. Can Max win this weekend? Well, we've still yet to see the real pace of the McLarens. They're coming out onto the circuit just now. Lando Norris's previous lap of 1:21.3. Oscar Piastri still in the pits. So, yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. Max could win, but not if the McLarens are a full second quicker. They're not going to be a full second quicker. At max, I think maybe 2 tenths, which is recoverable in theory. So we'll wait and see. All right, Lando Norris has picked up the pace. Purple in the first sector. He's got the DRS as he blasts down the back straight there towards turn number 8. Braking under the bridge, driving over the curbs as expected. Charles Leclerc gets out of the way nicely, and so does Alex Albon as he heads towards the hairpin. He's 3 tenths up there on Max Verstappen's time, so some serious pace from Lando starting out the weekend. And of course, yeah, he's been at this circuit before. There's not too much of a surprise. He'll be a lot more confident than the rookie drivers that haven't been here before him. Hey. Are there any other races on this track, or is it just a normal road? No, it is a purpose-built race circuit. However, why are McLaren's backing off the pace intentionally? Why was Lando Norris's final sector so slow? I have no idea why his final sector was so slow, but yeah, they do have some paces. Norris was just driving slowly in the final sector on purpose. But yeah, it's a purpose-built race circuit, but they're not having any other races go on here, at least not to my knowledge. I think Formula 1's racing here, but no Formula 2, no Formula 3, anything like that. Oh, Norris, I think his final sector was a little slow because he misjudged his braking point into the hairpin. Yeah, just went a little bit deep, and yeah, the rear of the car snapped out. Yeah, that's what it was. The rear of the car snapped out at the hairpin, and then because of course you're carrying the speed that you originally had at the hairpin down the entire straight, you just lose time, copious amounts of time that you lose if you make a mistake at the hairpin. So the driver's obviously very cautious and wary of that. And Lando Norris will look to change his brake bias settings to prevent that from happening again. Lawson across the line, 5th position for him. Keeping up with Isaac Hadjar, doing a good job there is Liam Lawson. Oh yeah, F1 Academy is racing, but yeah, F1 Academy races anywhere Formula 1 goes, so. Albon across the line, 2nd place for him. Great job there from Albon. He's just under a 10th back from Max Verstappen. Leclerc across the line, he goes 4 tenths clear of Verstappen. So very good lap there from Charles Leclerc. And Ferrari, hoping to improve, hoping to bounce back. They didn't have the best weekend, shall we say, at Spain. Hamilton definitely didn't have the best weekend. He might have even had the worst weekend so far at his time at Ferrari. And yeah, they'll be looking to make some improvements. Leclerc 2nd fastest in the 1st and 2nd sectors and quickest in the 3rd sector. So I'm sure that's something to be happy about. What happened to Piastri? He's just currently in the pits. I don't know. They did an install lap and then he came into the pits, never came out again. That's typically a sign of some sort of issue on the car. They're working on something. So yeah, I guess in the reassembly and in the disassembly and the reassembly of Formula 1 cars, some little mistake must have been made, and Piastri unfortunately has to sit in the garage for a little bit. I mean, it's very Formula 1 cars are very complex machines. All of these cars get totally disassembled, like every single screw, nut, bolt, everything gets disassembled, put into certain boxes, and then flown to the circuit, and then at the circuit it gets reassembled. So you can imagine how when there's thousands of parts here and there, how a little mistake can be made, and yeah, that's probably why Piastri's in the pit lane. I don't know for certain, but that's my best guess. All right, we got George Russell, purple in the middle sector. Across the line he goes, 2nd place for him. Very nicely done, and he's 3 tenths ahead of Max Verstappen. Last year's pole time was a 1 minute 12.000. Yeah. In fact, I will just pop that up on the screen so we don't get loads of people asking about it. Give me just a second. Let me type it up. All right, let me just pop that there. Fantastic. Oh, that's a little big. There we go. That's just pole time. Brilliant. Chance of safety car during the race. Oh, wait, have we got a yellow flag? What's that? Is that Leclerc? Oh, Leclerc's in the barriers. Leclerc is in the barriers. Well, I guess the chance of a safety car is pretty high. Charles Leclerc's just crashed in practice. Looks like the rear of the car spun around as he was going through that chicane. Red flag is deployed. Front left of his Ferrari mechanics aren't looking happy. And yeah, front left of his car is damaged, and also the rear wing as well. Big F in the chat there for Charles Leclerc. Red flag deployed. The timer's going to continue ticking down. It's practice. It's not qualifying. The timer does not stop. And we've got the replay here of Charles Leclerc. He's going through. Ooh. Locks up. Hits the barrier on the exit. Oh my god. What happened there? Right. Not on the exit. On the entry to the other corner. I mean, I'll just show you the replay. Well, I can't show you the replay. I'll show you a dramatic recreation of what happened. But yeah, Charles Leclerc's going through this first corner. He makes it through just fine. And then now he's heading towards this first chicane here. And this is the point. He's locked up his car. His steering, he's not turning as much as he would like to. He's understeering. And he drives over this part of the circuit, understeers onto the barrier on the left. You see where the DHL thing is on the left-hand side that I've just missed? Let me go back. So he's continuing down this part of the circuit, and as you can see the DHL branding there, just to the right of the DHL branding, that's where Charles Leclerc crashes. He damages the front left of the car on that side, then bounces off the wall into the DHL branding just here on the right hand side, and damages the rear of the car. So he's damaged the front left and the rear. After bouncing off two barriers. Pretty dramatic crash there for Charles Leclerc for a simple little lockup. And this is what I'm saying. It is a purpose-built race circuit, but the barriers are so close. It makes it very similar to a street circuit. Locking up the inside wheel, losing grip as he drives over the grass into the barrier, bounces off the barrier into the second barrier, damages the front of the car, damages the rear of the car. A lot of work for the Ferrari mechanics to do. And everyone currently sat in the pit lane. Yeah, Charles Leclerc has ruined it, basically. Ruined his car. Maybe he'll be able to take part in FP2, maybe towards the end of FP2. It will be pretty tight for time. Okay, we got 7,000 people tuning into live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Folks, if you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. It really does help out the channel. Would very much be appreciated. Yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying the coverage, and I'll look forward to commentating to you guys for the free practice sessions. For the next free practice session, and for quali in the races and everything. Yeah. So that's what's happened there. We've already got a tractor out lifting Charles Leclerc's car up, so it's not going to be long now before we get underway. The marshals will have to do an inspection of the barriers and the Tech Pro and everything, the Tech Pro, the Armco, to make sure everything's fine, and then we'll be good to go for the session restart. All right. Ferrari lifting a Ferrari. Yeah, a tractor is lifting a Ferrari. So I guess you could say Ferrari is lifting a Ferrari. Okay. Yeah. Let me know if you have any questions, folks. Anything that you'd like to ask me. Given that there's nothing going on the circuit right now, I'm all yours, guys. Let me know if you have any Formula One related questions, any channel related questions, anything like that. Must be the wall, yeah. It must be the wall. Damage the front wheel. Must be a lockup. That's what it was. Track temperature's up at 42 degrees. Pretty hot. Air temperature only 16.7 degrees. So the drivers and the team shouldn't have too much issues about cooling and getting too hot, given the low air temperature. The track temperature, however, will dictate tire temperature, and that might be a bit of an issue. But the engines and the drivers themselves will be just fine to stay cool. Are you streaming FP2? Indeed, I am. What is the track record? I think the track record might have been a 112.000 from last year, or it is something from the 2021 season, but I don't remember, or don't remember, as someone Canadian might say. Yeah, probably a bad Canadian accent, to be honest. Right. Chance for rain during the weekend, it is a very low chance of rain. In fact, it is more like 5% chance of rain all weekend long, so not much chance really. It was fantastic last year with the rain and everything. In fact, we had that amazing double overtake from Alex Albon in those wet conditions, but no rain this weekend. I did have a look earlier today, just hoping that we'd have another thunderstorm out in Montreal, which would really mix things up, but I guess we shall wait and see. Oh, the upgrades. Okay. Yeah, let me do the upgrades. Okay. View FIA documents, car presentation, and submissions. Okay. So this should. It's not going to show up entirely on your screen, folks. I might be able to adjust that, but I think for now it's fine. I'm just going to run through the upgrades. McLaren brings some upgrades to their front wing and some stuff to their front suspension as well. So front wing upgrade and suspension upgrade for McLaren. Ferrari, no upgrades. Red Bull, no upgrades. Mercedes have a slightly tweaked floor corner, so just a slightly bigger brake duct, but apart from that, nothing major for Mercedes. Aston Martin have nothing. They have a cooling specific stuff. Same thing for Alpine. Nothing for Haas. Visa Cash App Red Bull, they've got a little end plate that's been added to the rear corner of their car, and nothing for Kick Sauber. So yeah, the only upgrades that we've really got are the McLaren team. McLaren have got some upgrades to their front wing and sort of their rear wing, but yeah, that's about it really. Explain the difference between understeer and oversteer. Well, in a very simple way, understeer is when you turn the car and it doesn't steer as much as you want it to steer. And oversteer is when you steer the car and the front of the car steers as much as you want it to steer. However, the rear of the car turns too much and it sort of swings around the back, and you start doing a nice drift. But drifting looks really cool. And it's one of the coolest things you can really do in a car, but it is not quick by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, that's what oversteer is. Very similar to drifting. Will you stream the Grand Prix? Indeed I will. I'll be commentating all of the free practice sessions, all of the races, all of the qualifying sessions right till the end of the season. So yeah, if you guys are interested, go ahead, subscribe. Would be pretty cool if we could hit 171k subs today. Yeah, the target for the weekend is 175k, so we're 5,000 subscribers away. But of course, we've still got 5 more streams left. So let's wait and see. Oversteer is better because you don't see the tree hitting you, from Richard Hammond. Indeed, that is true. If you understeer into a tree, you're staring right at it. Whereas if you oversteer into a tree, you spin around and you hit it backwards, so you don't see it coming. And I think that's a better way to go, really. Yeah, better way. Is Charles okay? Yeah, Charles is fine. In fact, we've got drivers coming back out onto the circuit. They've picked the car up. The barriers are A-OK, and we are underway for the session. Fantastic. So there we go then. We got Charles's GPS will be perpetually stuck at turn number 4 where he lodged his car into the barrier. But we've got Russell, Piastri. Piastri's coming out as well, so whatever issue they had with Piastri's car, that has been resolved, and he will get his running time for the remaining 36 minutes of the session. What is the difference between Formula 1 and Formula 2 cars? Formula 2 cars are slower, they've got less power, less downforce, and they're driven by less experienced drivers. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Less power, less downforce, and they try to keep all of the other stuff as close to Formula One as possible. You know, they got DRS, they got dirty air problems, they use Pirelli tires, so yeah, they got a GP2 engine. That is true. um, all right. So we got about half the grid already out onto the circuit now. And just the lone Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton after Charles Leclerc, will not be taking part for the rest of FP1. He may not even take part for the rest of FP2. So we shall just wait and see. Oh yeah, and F2 cars are spec also, yeah, I forgot to mention that. All of the Formula 2 cars are the exact same for all of the drivers. The only thing that you can change is a setup, like front wing angle, rear wing angles, suspension settings and stuff like that. You cannot change, you can't bring an upgrade to, oh, have we got another yellow? Oh no, momentarily. But yeah, you can't bring any upgrades to a Formula 2 car. How long is a GP? Well, it's 305 kilometers plus one lap. So here in Canada, we're going to have 70 laps of racing. And typically that takes around an hour and a half. Yeah, hour and a half. All right. Any hopes for Hamilton? Well, Fernando Alonso said that this circuit suits Hamilton's strengths and he should be able to bounce back from a bad weekend out in Spain. So maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't. I guess we'll see. Charles Leclerc is having some issues with the car, I'm sure. The car for Hamilton also will not be issue free, and they'll have to work out some issues over the course of practice. All right, Piastri comes across the line. First lap time set for him, and that's 14th place, 1.7 seconds off the back of Charles Leclerc. A lot of improvement left to do, but I'm sure he's on a different run plan by this point. Right, and in fact, I shall take you through a lap of the circuit. So, here we go then. All right, so you come out of the final corner. You go to the wall of champions firstly. Make sure you don't hit that wall. Well, unless you want to be a champion, We did see, I think Guan Yu Zhou hit that wall last year. Yet to become a Formula One world champion. Maybe we'll become a endurance racing champion, winning the Le Mans 24 hours. But we'll see. And yeah, you make your way through this first chicane. This is where Charles Leclerc crashed, of course. Want to avoid going near those barriers. They are extremely close to the circuit. And then again, braking here in a straight line drive. And the other thing here is there's not a lot of entry curbs. You do have some exit curbs here and there, but quite often the entry curb is just, you've got a painted white line and that's it. So sort of old school, and actually very old school. You've got painted white line and then just a barrier. So the drivers love it. It's a big thrill, and it produces a bit of chaos, a bit of action. Can never really complain. You come out the final corner. Just want to get a smooth exit here. We saw Lando Norris have a snap of the rear as he was coming through the final corner. Well, not the final corner, through the hairpin, and lost a huge amount of time in the final sector just because of a little snap. So the drivers are extra cautious going into this part to keep the car as settled as possible. And then the world champions, fourth gear, maybe even fifth, if you can carry enough speed through there. Take as much curb as your car can handle, and then you come across the line. And that is a lap of the Canadian Grand Prix, folks. We've got a replay here. Let me see. Did Lewis Hamilton spin? He was going towards the hairpin, and yeah, he unsettled the car. A bit too much rear locking by the looks of it, and the car did a nice spin. So yeah, the drivers, as I said, they try to keep the car as stable as possible. Of course, they do have to dial all of these settings in. The brake migration settings, the engine braking settings. All of these things play a factor in rear grip under braking, under steering, and yeah, that obviously contributed to Hamilton's spin, but no damage incurred. Just a quick 180 and he went back on his way. It's not a particular lap, it's just practice here, so we're 30 minutes into the practice session, and we've got 30 minutes remaining. Yeah. All right, Verstappen comes across the line, and that's first position for him. by 22 milliseconds. Very, very close indeed. But of course, he has done that on an 11-lap-old set of soft tyres. So credit where credit is due. And it's we're down into the 1 minute 13s now. So we started out in the 1 minute 16s right at the start of the session with all of the dirty circuit. As the track has got rubbered in and as it's been cleared up, we are now down into the 1 minute 13.8. We're only 1.8 seconds off last year's pole time. And we're only in FP1. So pretty good going for the drivers here. I think we're going to be smashing last year's pole time. Also, given the fact that the conditions weren't the best last year, the drivers probably will have more grip just due to the conditions. And then, of course, the cars will also be quicker this year compared to last year. So all of the drivers should be looking to go quicker and quicker. Okay. Yeah, and as sort of expected, really, the rookies, Antonelli, Behrman, Bortoletto, all struggling a little bit here because they haven't raced at this circuit before. All right, Fernando Alonso up into 6th position. Hopefully he can, score some more points. He had a great weekend. Well, yeah, pretty good weekend, I'd say. Better than the rest of his seasons, for sure, out in Spain. He scored 2 points after Max Verstappen's penalty was applied. And, yeah. So he scored points at his home Grand Prix, looking to continue the momentum. And Aston Martin did bring some upgrades. The upgrades looked very promising in Imola, not that great in Spain. So I guess we'll see what happens here. Imola and Canada do have a lot of similarities. They're both pretty narrow circuits. They've both got barriers nearby. They both consist of a lot of medium speed corners. So maybe Aston Martin will be good this weekend. Nobody really knows. Alright, and then we have Pierre Gasly. He's on a flying lap here. Currently 1 minute 14.8 from him, but he makes his way down the Casino Straight, getting a toe off Fernando Alonso, and heads towards the Wall of Champions. Makes it through that chicane just fine. And now comes across the line, does Pierre Gasly. Where does he go? From 13th all the way up into 9th. All right. Ooh, George Russell's out on a fresh set of soft tyres. What are you doing here, Mr. George Russell? Fresh set of softs in FP1. We're not doing quali sims, are we? Surely. But he does go 3/10 clear of Max Verstappen. So nice job there from George Russell. A 1 minute 13.5. In fact, we might already dip into the 1 minute 12s at this rate. By the end of FP1, like the rate of improvement has been rapid. Did you see in 2026 there'll be no Imola? Yeah, I did. It's been unfortunately replaced. Imola has been removed, and we're having the race in Madrid instead. Yeah, I guess we'll see how that race goes. We've never raced there before, so I'm not going to totally trash on the circuit, but Imola wasn't really that bad. And of course, there's a lot of history there. But there's always the statement, we've raced at Imola because there's history, and sooner or later you're gonna have to race at different circuits to start making some more Formula 1 history. Otherwise, we'll be racing at the same circuits that they were racing in the 1950s. And they've made some good additions. Bahrain was a new addition back in the early 2000s. That was pretty good. Singapore as well, pretty good staple of the calendar. So, yeah, Nico Hülkenberg getting very close to the barrier, 4 centimetres away, in fact. The F1 team have installed some sensors near the exit of the Wall of Champions, and they'll be giving us some up-to-date numbers on how close these drivers are getting to skimming this wall. Why does Piastri have no pace at all? It's because when they were doing short runs, Piastri had issues with his car, and now they're doing a bit more of longer runs. So that's why Piastri doesn't have that much pace. Yeah. Get rid of the parade, aka Monaco. Yeah, we could probably get rid of Monaco. I mean, it's I don't know. It's a bit of a contentious issue, isn't it? All right, Bortoletto up into 14th position. Nice job there from Bortoletto. Albon up into 4th. Yeah, and Williams are looking good, as expected, really. Circuit like Canada really does suit them well, and hope to see both Williams into Q3. Hamilton across the line, 6th place for him. He's on a fresh set of soft tyres, still unable to match Charles Leclerc's time, which Leclerc did on a used set. So, Don't know what's going on there, but I guess Hamilton also is probably just being a little cautious. He saw Leclerc's crash. He came out of the pits after Leclerc's crash, had a spin of himself down at the hairpin, and then he's just going to be being a little bit cautious until they get all of the kinks and issues worked out in this setup. F1 Gamer, when is FP2? FP2, let me check. Free practice 2 will start in 3 hours time. So wherever you are in the world now, if you in 3 hours time, that's when FP2 will be underway. 2019 Canadian Grand Prix was the most disliked race. Yeah, I mean, I was a Vettel, well, I still am a Vettel fan. The 2019 Canadian Grand Prix, Seb Vettel should have got that win, to be honest. He did not deserve the 5-second time penalty. So I guess we'll just have to live with it. Okay. Antonelli up into 8th position. Still 7/10, 8/10 off his teammate George Russell, but Anthony's first time at the circuit, so I think we can cut him some slack, and he'll be given the rest of the weekend to improve as well. Oh, the best lap was a 1:10.240 by Vettel in 2019. Okay, so that's clearly better than last year's pole time. Of course, that Ferrari engine in 2019 was an absolute monster. I don't know how they were doing it, if they were somehow beating the fuel flow rate sensors or if they were burning engine oil or something. I'm not sure what they were doing. That was worked out pretty quietly behind the scenes at the FIA, but yeah, Ferrari had some serious pace in 2019, especially down the straights, and the lap time represents it. Thank you for what you do. Appreciate the commentary and the data. Well, yeah, thank you for tuning in. I mean, we got 7,000 people tuned in just to a free practice session, which is mind blowing to think about. You know, I remember my first ever quali stream that I properly, started doing this commentary. I think it was Bahrain 2021, and my first ever quali stream I think had 1,000 viewers. So 7 times more people for a practice session is pretty mind blowing. All right, we got Verstappen purple in the first sector, Sainz purple in the second sector. So still a lot of pace left to go. Everyone's still improving. Of course, some fresh tyres are being used here for on Max Verstappen's car, and that'll definitely be helping him out. Why did Lewis speed up and slow down on the casino straight? It's because he was doing a warm-up lap on the last lap, so now he'll be going full speed because he's on a flying lap. But Carlos Sainz across the line, first place for him, great lap there. Purple in the second and third sectors. Not long lasting though at the top of the grid because Max Verstappen came through on a fresh set of soft tyres, a 1:13.1, and we're dipping down now. I think by the end of FP1, actually, we may even get to the 1:12s. At the rate that we're going. Hamilton does improve and goes ahead of Charles Leclerc by 0.2 of a second. Pretty good going there from Lewis Hamilton. Did Charles Leclerc crash? Indeed he did. He crashed at turn number 3 and 4, and that resulted in him, well, causing a red flag. Verstappen got very close to who is that? Lewis Hamilton, saying that Hamilton wasn't leaving a space. I'm sure that was once again just another miscommunication from the Ferrari engineers, not telling Hamilton that Verstappen was right behind him. So, classic Ferrari. Alright, also folks, if you haven't hit the like button, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. It really does help out the channel. Would very, very much be appreciated. Oh, we had a little mistake there from Alonso as he went towards the hairpin. And yeah, if you are enjoying the coverage, then I will be commentating for Free Practice 2, for the qualifying, for the races. We're doing everything right till the end of the season. So yeah, be sure to subscribe. Hopefully we can hit 171k subs today. And I just do have to mention, because I'm sponsored by Surfshark VPN, if you guys are interested in watching Formula 1 for only $2 a month rather than, the normal $20, $30 a month, what you can do is get Surfshark VPN. You can join an Austrian VPN server. Then you can search Service TV on Google once you've connected to the Austrian VPN server. You make an account, you log in, and you can watch Formula One for free via Service TV. The only thing you have to pay for is Surfshark VPN. There's a link in the description. And yeah, it's only $2 a month. You can get the cheapest one. If it doesn't work for you for whatever reason, you can always get a refund. The commentary is in German, so if you understand German, perfect. If not, you can mute it and you can listen to my commentary over the actual footage. We've got about 400 people doing it on the channel, so yeah. If you guys are interested, there's a link in the description. Check that out. All right, so that's the Surfshark plug over, and we have got Alex Albon now. Pulling out some pace. Sainz didn't manage to go purple in the first sector. Albon did, and now here he is making his way through the middle sector. Across the middle sector line he comes. It's yellow in the middle sector, unfortunately, for Alex Albon, but still pretty quick, I think. So maybe he's still got a good lap on his hands. Doesn't look like he makes a mistake as he goes towards the hairpin. And then he's just got Alonso, who gets out of the way nicely, gets a little bit of a toe off him as well. And then he is barreling his way down towards the Wall of Champions chicane, where he makes it through just fine. A little bit of curb, the car bouncing around a bit. Gets very close to the wall. Across the line he comes, and wow. Second place there for Alex Albon. And it's a Williams 2-3. Fantastic, and they are right there with Max Verstappen, and they're doing this on slightly used tyres as well. Max did his run on a totally fresh set of softs. Albon did his run. Albon and Sainz both did their run on 6-lap old soft tyres, so pretty good. Yeah, Alonso complaining about what Albon's doing. Albon's apparently been blocking Alonso a little bit. Yeah, this is the other thing here. It is quite a narrow circuit, and of course there's also quite a few blind corners around here. Because there's walls everywhere, you don't have a long line of sight, you know, oh, I'll look in my mirrors and see a driver who's 2 corners behind me, 3 corners behind me. You don't really have that luxury, so you are totally reliant, really, on your engineers to be saying over the radio, oh yeah, you got a driver coming up now, you got a driver coming up in 5 seconds, get out of the way. So this is why we see a little bit more of these sort of blocking incidents from drivers at the Canadian Grand Prix. Any teams bring any major upgrades? No major upgrades really from anyone. McLaren do have an updated front wing and an updated suspension geometry, but it's all pretty minor stuff. It's not a huge upgrade package, to say the least. Old Man Rue, thank you for joining the channel member. Very much is appreciated. Yeah, thanks for supporting the channel. And yeah, because you guys, I can keep doing what I'm doing. All right, 18 minutes left in the session, and pretty much everyone's been doing soft tire runs. We haven't seen a single long run really. And this is, I'm not exactly sure why, because the race is, you know, if we go 48 hours into the future now, this is when the race is starting. So it's prime time now to gather some information on what the conditions will be like on race day. You know, you can do a long run now. The temperatures will be similar. The track temperature will be similar. Air temperatures will be similar. But yeah, they seem a little bit more preoccupied in doing some short runs. All right, when is FP2? FP2 is in 1 hour and 45. Oh no, 2 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah. Charles Leclerc, I think, might be out for free practice 2 as well. He's got some pretty serious damage to his car. If they do manage to get him out for FP2, that would be, well, firstly, a very good, incredible work from the Ferrari mechanics. Secondly, I think if they do, it will still be towards the end of FP2. You know, they'll continue working on it all afternoon, and then they'll have it ready right at the end of FP2. All right, we've got 7,000 people watching the stream. That is fantastic. Thanks everyone for tuning in, by the way. Hope you guys are enjoying the coverage, and yeah, look forward to commentating to you guys for the race. Apologies if I do sound a little bit tired. It's just because I am. Yeah, hopefully I'm a little bit less tired for the qualifying. Actually, I will be less tired. I'm actually going to get some proper sleep tonight. So yeah, I do apologise for the slightly low-key commentary. I'm not really screaming at the top of my lungs. Given it's a practice session, there's not that much exciting stuff going on, to be honest. Regardless, Lawson goes across the line into ninth position. Sorry. What's going on with McLaren? McLaren just aren't really showing their pace. Like Lando Norris would probably be up in fifth position if he didn't make a mistake coming through the hairpin. So yeah, no, McLaren do have pace. They're just not showing it. It's yeah, there's nothing really to worry about. If you are a McLaren fan and if you're a Red Bull fan, thinking that you're gonna be getting a Grand Slam this weekend because McLaren have no pace, I think you'll be found to be mistaken once we get around to qualifying. Also, folks, is it just me or is the Formula One app crashing when you load it up on your phone? Oh no, it's fine now. Okay, I guess never mind. I was trying to load it up earlier in the day, and it wasn't loading, but now it's fine. Oh, the Fred Vasseur is leaving Ferrari room is credible. I don't personally think so. I think Fred Vasseur's done a pretty good job coming to Ferrari, and Ferrari have this terrible habit of replacing their team principals just as they get going. Aravabene, I think that's what his name was, yeah. But he was, had his way, started get going, and then he got replaced. Then it was Binotto. He started, getting ingrained into the team. I mean, he's worked his way through the ranks, Binotto, of Ferrari, and then he became team principal. And then a couple years of bad performance, and then he was out, and then it was Fred Vasseur. Like, they keep replacing these team principals. And if we look at the teams that are having success, then, you're going to look at... you're going to look at Toto Wolff, you're going to look at Christian Horner, you're going to look at Zach Brown, even James Vowles. He did join Williams pretty recently, but there was never any question, any doubt on James Vowles is going to be team principal for the next 5-10 years or whatever. So you do have to have some faith, and you've got to give these things some time, because it's a pretty big task to sort of reorganize a Formula One team, get it working in the most streamlined way possible, and yeah, it's a tall order to deliver on it, and it requires some time. So hopefully Fred Vasseur doesn't go. I have nothing for or against him, but he should be given enough time to sort the Ferrari team out, and especially before a big regulation change. Like, it doesn't make any sense really before a big regulation change to replace your team principal. Like, the mechanics are going to be working long hours and everything, and the engineers, the designers, the technicians, and you want to, have someone that you're familiar with. Fred Vasseur will know all of the people at the factory. He'll know what they're working on, and he will have already built up that relationship with them. So yeah, you don't really want to be doing that. All right. We got Lawson across the line, 7th place for him, and yeah, we're finally seeing some long runs here. Hulkenberg and Bortoleto doing some long runs by the looks of it. Hulkenberg's last lap time a 1:18.1, so yeah, that looks like a full fuel run for Nico Hulkenberg. How's Russell and Verstappen's bromance going on? Going on as amazingly as ever, really. Yeah, just constant press conference questions about, what do you think about the crash? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? But I don't think it's much of a concern, really. If they encounter each other on the track, we'll have some more battles to talk about, really, because Verstappen said he's not going to be changing his driving style, and, I'm sure George Russell isn't going to be backing down from a fight. So, yeah, let's just put it that way. We've got a lot of action to come from those two. Lando Norris has got a bit of flow-vis on his front right of his car, over the front wing, over the suspension. They have brought some upgrades to the front wing and the suspension, hoping to improve the flow over the car, improve the aerodynamics. So they've put some flow-vis over the car in the hopes to visualize what the air is doing, and to get a bit more of an understanding of how the aero package is working. Any teams got some major upgrades in the past weeks? Yeah, we saw Mercedes had a pretty good upgrade package, I think in Spain or maybe the weekend before. But yeah, we've had quite a few upgrade packages, and the teams are sort of, once again, have levelized where they previously were. You know, we saw McLaren to be top of the pack, then Red Bull a very close second with Red Bull in second, and then Mercedes in a very close third, and then Ferrari a little bit further back. It's very similar to what it was at the start of the season. That's the whole Ferrari conversation. There were rumours a few weeks ago that Horner was going to replace Vettori, be the new team principal. Why do you think these rumours are happening? I have no idea why the rumours are happening. I mean, to be fair though, you could just make up some rumour and just claim it to be what they're talking about in the paddock. Like, you could... I don't really know how these rumours get sent about, but I'm thinking, like, if you were even half, like, a reasonably trustworthy person, you could just make up some rumor and tell one journalist, and then one journalist is going to go tell the entire world that, oh yeah, we think that Christian Horner is going to replace Fred Vasseur. Like, someone could say it as a joke, and a journalist could overhear it, not understanding that it's a joke, and then somehow these things get released into the public. Like, it makes no sense, to be honest. Yeah, Charles did crash at turn number 4. In fact, I'll show you a quick replay. I'll show you a quick lap of the circuit, really. And then, yeah, we've got 10 minutes left of the session, though. So you make your way through the final corner, down onto the start-finish straight here. You got DRS down this straight in towards turn number 1, shifting down at the 100-meter mark. Hit this first apex very nice. You want to go very slowly. It takes a long time to rotate through turn number 2. You don't want to spin it like Colapinto did right at the start of FP1. Here is where Charles Leclerc crashed. He locked up, went into the barrier on the left, bounced off the barrier on the left, went onto the barrier on the right. Very, very unfortunate for him. And he's out of FP1, potentially out of FP2. Through this chicane, you can drive over the curbs, as much curbs as the car can take. This is the motto for Canada, as much curbs as the car can take. You know, there'll be a lot of vibrational forces. There's going to be lots of, like... the car bouncing about here and there, and the drivers are just going to have to deal with it because it gains you so much lap time. You head towards the hairpin. This is where Hamilton had his spin. It's quite easy with the brake balance. What happens is, as you start braking heavily, a lot of the load gets transferred to the front wheels, and you sort of start leaning forwards, and because of that there's less load on the rear tires, so it's quite easy to lock them up as you try to steer into the corner and stuff like that. And that's why we see a couple of spins. And then of course you've got the wall of champions, where the drivers are going millimeters, centimeters away from the wall to maximize the lap time. And that's a lap of the circuit here in Canada, in Montreal. All right. Sights on a set of used tires. Yeah, sights on a set of used tires. I mean, I think a lot of these drivers now are doing some longer runs, but on used sets of soft tires. I think they may be experimenting, potentially looking at the viability of using some soft tires in the race. Yeah. You did a 107 lap. Easy settings. Did I? Did I do a 107? No way I did a 107 lap. Let me have a look. Did I? Oh yeah, I did. I guess the 20... No, I didn't. I did a 110. I did a 110. But yeah, the cars were much quicker back in 2021. At this circuit specifically, I think. So, yeah. All right. Why is Colapinto not updating his times? Colapinto is driving about, but he's just driving about a lot slower than his personal best. So that's why he's still staying in 19th position. As you can see, his last lap there was a 1 minute 48. And Colapinto is, his best lap's a 1 minute 14. So unless he improves, he's not going to go further up in the leaderboard. What are your thoughts on Lewis's performances till now? I mean, Lewis has had some time to settle into the car. He's been improving. Sometimes he's had some good high points in China, and then some low points like in Spain. So I don't really know where I stand with Lewis Hamilton. Like, he's performed fairly well, but really not up to the level of Charles Leclerc. I don't really know if I was expecting him to be at the levels of Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc is clearly in his sort of prime era of his career. In his late, sort of mid-20s. And I don't know. Hamilton hasn't been able to keep up. Maybe things will change this weekend. Who knows? Verstappen is the closest driver to the wall at turn number 14, and he was 0 centimeters away. So Verstappen, the first driver out of anyone this weekend to give the barriers at turn number 14 a nice little kiss, and yeah, scrape off some of the paint on the advertising boards. Any chance of rain this weekend? No. There is a 5% forecast of rain, but I suspect that pretty much just means zero. It's quite sunny and bright out in Montreal. All right, Lando Norris, purple in the middle sector. He's out on a 7-lap-old set of soft tyres, and he's coming now just down the casino straight. Let's see what his final lap time's going to be. Also, I missed K-Mag now since the last Grand Prix. Yeah, K-Mag is, I think K-Mag's going to be driving in the Le Mans 24 hours. We got Lando Norris across the line, 7th place for him. Still not really representative of his lap time. If he did it on a fresh set of tyres, I'm sure he would have been up with Max Verstappen. But yeah, K-Mag, I think, is taking part in the Le Mans 24 hours. Actually, how many of you folks are going to be watching the Le Mans 24 hours? I think, yeah, it's going to be starting Saturday night, I think. Oh, no, it will be starting Sunday, just early in the day, I think, on Sunday. I'm not sure exactly the start time. But I think it's definitely worth a watch. I might even keep the sort of standings up while the Canadian Grand Prix is going on, and I'll keep you guys posted on what's happening in Le Mans as well. Also, folks, if you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. It really does help out the channel. Hopefully, we can get a couple more people watching the stream, a couple more people subscribed and stuff like that. We've got 4 minutes left of the session. I'll be commentating Free Practice 2. The Free Practice 2 session itself will start in 2.5 hours. I'll start commentating in 2 hours. Yeah. Yeah, we got pretty much every single driver out onto circuit apart from Leclerc, of course, after he crashed, and Colapinto, who's currently in the pit lane. Everyone out on a pretty used set of tyres, just driving around, gathering some more data on these soft tyres in different fuel loads. Some drivers will be on high fuel loads, some drivers on lower, and we'll see. Well, we're not going to see much. The teams are going to do a lot of data analysis overnight. They'll probably be tweaking the setups here and there as well to see if things are improving. The drivers will have some feedback, as you would have seen over the radio messages. Where to watch Le Mans for free? Actually, I don't know. I don't know if they show it in Austria or not. But I'll have a look into that actually. Is Le Mans live streamed? Well, I'm not going to be live streaming Le Mans, but maybe there'll be some other people. I'm not sure. McLaren's gathering data to test out new upgrades and are looking forward to set lap times in FP1. Yeah, McLaren have brought some new tweaks here and there, so they're gathering some representative lap times rather than all-out quali flat-out laps. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the Williams duo comeback? I think the Williams duo is doing fantastically, really. Yeah, they'll bounce back. They didn't have the best weekend out in Spain, but this circuit does suit their car, and they're both fantastic drivers. So I think things are looking on the up for them in 2026. That's my prediction. I've made this a couple times this season so far. I've mentioned it a couple times, but my prediction is 2026. Williams are going to be world champions. Yeah. I also do think for Le Mans, I think like a couple of the hypercar teams, I think Ferrari do and maybe Porsche or Toyota do as well. But they live stream like an onboard camera from the car for the entire 24 hours on YouTube. So you can't watch the entire footage, but you can still watch the onboards of like the hypercars or the LMP1 cars, whatever they're called now. You think Binotto leaving Ferrari turned out to be a good decision for Ferrari or not? Well, I don't really know. I'm sure Binotto has worked his way through Ferrari. Like he was previously, I think, sort of engine engineer. Engine engineer, that's pretty funny. But yeah, he was working with Michael Schumacher as well when he was at Ferrari. So Binotto's had a lot of experience with the Ferrari team. I think he would have been a perfect candidate for team principal, and he was a team principal, but then I think his time was probably a little bit too short to make a real impact. Cadillac or Audi? I'm gonna have to go with Audi. I think. I think Audi have some pretty good motorsport heritage, and they're taking over from the Sauber team, which is pretty strong going already. Cadillac have to start from scratch, so I'm gonna put my bets on Audi next year. If I was to pick a team that's gonna do better, Audi or Cadillac. Who was pole last year? It was Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen and George Russell both set a 1.12.000. But Max Verstappen said it first. So, yeah, Verstappen got pole, Russell got second. Oh, wait, no, was it the other way around? Maybe it was the other way around. Oh, no, okay, I think it was Max. Either way, we have got 40 seconds left of... Oh, Russell got pole. Okay, sorry, apologies there. Russell got pole. Max Verstappen was in second place. Yeah. So here we are. We're 30 seconds away from the end of FP1. All the drivers have done their standard FP1 procedures. Done the installation laps, done the setup checks, tested out some new upgrades for the McLaren team, and they've gathered their data. So we've had a crash for Charles Leclerc, a spin for Colapinto, a spin for Hamilton, a couple of moments here and there for Norris, Alonso, and quite a few of the other drivers, to be honest. And yeah, nothing too exciting really in free practice 1. So thank you everyone for tuning in. It has been a pleasure commentating to you guys. I will be live once again in 2 hours time for free practice 2. In the meantime, I'm going to go have my dinner. But yeah, if you guys, I'm going to end the stream now. I'll take you over to the free practice 2 stream. If you could just hit the like button and the reminder button, the YouTube algorithm absolutely loves it. So that would very much be appreciated. And I will see you guys in 2 hours for the free practice 2 session, where I think we'll get a little bit more of race runs. We'll get a bit more of an idea on, which teams are going to be quick in the race, which teams are not. All right. Yeah. Adios. Goodbye. See you later. And 2 hours time, I'll be live once again. Bye bye.